Welcome to Chat With Me. We are so excited that you're here with us. We have a fabulous episode for you today. We are going to talk about female entrepreneurs. That's right. We have 5 incredible women who not only had an idea for a business, but executed it and are successful. So they want to teach you how to do that for yourself. So please introduce yourself for us.
Good morning, Robin. Thank you for having me. My name is Heather Kirby, and I am a landlord and a real estate buyer.
Nice, thank you.
Hi, Robin. My name is Suzanne Burgess, and I'm a business rehabber.
A business rehabber.
Yes.
Ooh, we're going to talk about that. Hold that thought.
Absolutely.
I'm going to get on that. That sounds really interesting.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Keach. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm an online sex and relationship coach.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get your number for after the show.
Of course.
Okay.
Thank you, Robin, so much for having me. My name is Michaela Laughlin, and I am a yoga fitness instructor for Great Yoga
Nice.
Lifestyle.
I might need your help too.
Hello, my name is Melanie L. Danny, your career empowerment coach. I'm a certified resume expert, LinkedIn strategist, and personal branding consultant.
That's amazing. A lot of people could benefit from your knowledge.
Absolutely.
So ladies, what has it all been gravy, or was there struggles? Because come on, right? You can't just start a business. There has to be some struggles with it. Does anybody want to jump on that? Like when you first started your business, did you just have this brilliant idea and say, this is it, this is what I want to do? Or did you just fall into it?
Well, I would have to say that I've had 1,000 brilliant ideas in my business, and about 5 of them worked really well. And I think one of the things that's an interesting thing about being an entrepreneur and being a woman is that we're extremely creative, which means that I have as many ideas for my business as there are possibilities in the world. And the thing that I've learned is really helpful is to try out a few different ideas, but find out what I'm really good at and stick with it.
I think that's a great point, because being creative is probably naturally something that all of you have. So to narrow it down to something that could actually be successful, I got to know what this rehab is about. How are you rehabbing businesses?
So I look for businesses that are not doing so well, or the owners are having some significant issues. You know, it may be a divorce, financial troubles, health issues, relocation, and they're struggling to sell their business, they're struggling to maintain their businesses. So I engage in a transaction with them that is a win-win situation for both of us. And I take these businesses and I rebuild them and I make them more profitable, and I have an exit strategy. So within 4 years, I then put it back on the market and I sell them. So I have my daughter to thank for this, because she was my greatest motivation. I was in the employment industry. I had a job. I worked in the 8 to 4, and my oldest daughter, as you know, has special needs. She's profoundly deaf, and I was trying to ascertain how I could create more income for myself, but also give me the flexibility to take care of her the way she needed. And I sat back one day and I thought, you know what? I do this for other people in their businesses. It's time to do it for myself. And when you talk about the struggles, it's like, you're a single mom, you want to get into business, you want to learn, I don't think you're the right candidate for us.
So you ran into that.
Yes.
And you think that because you're female?
Yes.
Wow.
And they say that to you. I mean, how are you going to run your business successfully because you're a single mother? Do you know anything about business? I run a household as well.
Which is very
I
much a
know
business.
about business. I know how to keep people in check, finances, relationships, and they discount you a lot because you are female.
Wow. Business is, or was a very male-dominated world, but I think that's really changing, as proof on our couch and in our chairs today. So Heather, so you told us you're a slumlord.
I am, absolutely. Fill out the application, I'll call you. No, I was, just to comment on what she was saying, I really feel like the new generation of women that are up and coming are so blessed, because the stay-at-home housewives that we were expected to be when I was up and coming and a young woman was very oppressive, and it was very hard to break through the ceiling and to get anywhere. So I'm glad that the movements are changing, that women are coming together, and that we are all working towards a better tomorrow. I think that the most important thing that I learned when I was trying to establish myself was to get the facts, to do your research, and to know what's real and what's not. There are so many people out there that will try to sell you the pretty shiny diamond when in fact you have to look and make sure it's not just a hunk of
the
glass.
old adage that if it looks too good to be true, it probably is.
Absolutely.
There's
So-
no fast track to a successful business. It takes time, expertise, and I love what you said. Know what you're doing. Like, be knowledgeable. Become, knowledgeable on the topic so much that when anybody asks you anything, you can answer. That's really great. Michaela, yoga. Oh my goodness. Did you just start doing yoga on your own and then thought?
No, actually not. So I came from a household where I was the first person to go to college, and in my household it was very different. They motivated me to not be the stay-at-home mom and to be the big breadwinner. So when I decided to graduate college, I worked in corporate America for 5 years and absolutely hated it. I was a financial analyst and worked the 9 to 9 grind some days, and found yoga as my balance. So on my weekends, in between my busy life, I decided to become a certified yoga instructor and realized that I was spending more time wanting to be either at the studio or on my mat than I did at the office. And within the office, I started lunchtime yoga for all my coworkers, from guys who were like 22 bench pressing to, the 70-year-old lady who wanted something to do on her lunch break instead of walk. So yeah, that's kind of what led me to yoga, and we moved to Florida and I quit. And everyone in my family was kind of against that, so it was a different track for me. And now showing them that my passion is what leads me every day in my business.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you get to help other, not just women, but people in general find their health
Absolutely.
again and find,
Yeah, that's the most rewarding part for me. Because to me, a 9 to whatever you work, and some people are very rewarded by that. Myself, I wasn't. I like to help people. I like to motivate people. And you don't have to look like the Instagram yogi to be a yogi. Let's just make that straight. You can absolutely be whoever you are and just show up on your mat every day for yourself.
I'm glad you actually said that, because it's true. When you get into social media and you see all these pictures of these crazy, beautiful women in these poses that you will never be able to do, it's intimidating.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
it actually has, I've thought about that. I'm like, oh, how can I walk into the studio? Even though I used to dance and I can stretch and all of that, it would be very intimidating.
Yeah.
But I love that you said that it's for everyone. It's
for
not
everyone.
just for one brand. I love that.
Definitely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Melanie.
Yes, ma'am. I found a lot of pieces in everyone's story that I could definitely relate to. My journey began because when I was 15, I had my first job and I left after 2 days. I was like, who does this? I just couldn't fathom the idea of going to work every single day till I died. Like, it was just not an option for me.
Yeah.
But it's life. You go through life, you have jobs, you go to school, you go to college to get a job. So I did that whole spiel. Meanwhile, the entire time I'm trying to figure out, how can I start a business? What business can I start? It was like, hey, I'll type your papers for you. Hey, I want to, do Mary Kay. I tried to do everything. And it's funny because the one thing that I did out of pure enjoyment ended up being the thing that I did as a business without even realizing that it was valuable to someone else. So my best friend needed a resume done, and she sent me her resume. It was horrendous.
Yeah.
So of course I fixed it up for her, and it worked. And then I did my boyfriend's at that time, and then I did a friend of a friend, just doing resumes for everyone for $0. And one guy said, you know what, Melanie, you're really good. You should charge for this. And I went,
I can do
charge?
that?
That's not a thing. Who doesn't? And I went to Google. Lo and behold, there's a whole industry, association, certifications, and so I became an expert at the resume
That is
writing.
awesome.
And over the time it
you
evolved.
probably were watching these people you were helping get the job,
Yes.
which is so hard to do
And
nowadays.
the thing that really kept me alive and kept me going was like their reaction and the boost of confidence they got after getting the piece of paper. It's like sometimes they were like, is this me?
Like, that's me?
Yeah, that's all you. Show me the lie. Everything in here is true and it's all about you. And so that is really what fills me up. I was a huge job hopper. the biggest job hopper ever.
Because you weren't satisfied.
Nothing kept me there. And then
This is such an important role because so many people are looking for different jobs and at different times, and they just don't know. And what worked 5 years ago won't work on a resume today. So it's your job to keep up with that so that you could help us be successful. I love that. I love that. So I'm going to jump back to Suzanne because this whole rehab idea I just think is so brilliant as a business in of itself. When do you know, like, first of all, how do you look on paper and say this can be successful even though it's not being successful, because that's risky.
Yeah.
And then at the flip side of that, when do you go, enough, like I've hit that success point, now I'm ready to sell?
It comes with looking at how something can be successful. I look at what is the upside to the business. Just like in property, you look at the upside, is there more potential for the business? What are the owners doing right now that's causing the business not to do very well? Are personal circumstances getting in the way? A lot of the times, business owners get in their own way, and that's why their businesses fail. And that's one of the biggest learning lessons. And you will see that on some of the shows like Gordon Ramsay and things like that. The business owners get in their own way. And you go, okay, they're allowing their personal circumstances to get in the middle of this. Recently bought a meat market. I need to, I use that as an example. And it's called Best Meats. It's based in Wildwood, Florida. And there was a couple who was running it for 19 years, lost interest. They were almost 80, wanted to retire, and the business went really downhill. And people started to lose interest in the business because the premises weren't being maintained. There were no new fresh ideas in what was being produced. So when I went in there, I saw the upside to what that business was. The financials were reflecting that they weren't doing the best, but I knew that certain changes being brought into the business was going to make the business better. It's like a house. You repaint it, put new carpets in it, you change and you give it a facelift, and it will look amazing.
It looks
and
pretty.
It will sell. That's right. So I did simple things like repainting the business, cleaning the entire inside, changing the signage. I even created a slogan, and it wasn't the one I originally wanted, but I went with tasty, fresh, and well hung. And I put that on the main sign of the building.
Well, I gotta be honest, as soon as you said Best Meats, I was kind of like, I think people might be looking for something different if they're looking that up. But that is fantastic.
Yeah,
and it draws attention.
It does. And I'm on the main road, and something as simple as that slogan had people stop, and quite a few customers came in and said, a woman would have done that, right? A woman had to have done that sign. And I was
That
like,
is
guilty as
great.
charged,
Yeah.
And then I always have a 4-year exit strategy. So when I go in with a plan. The plan is, how long do I need to make this reach its upside? What do I need to stabilize, and how long do I need to sell? So I always go in with an exit strategy in mind when I buy a business, and it's always 4 years.
I love it. That's fantastic. Very cool. So Kirsten, let's talk for a minute. I think a lot of therapists, when they first get started, work for somebody or with other people. What made you decide to go on your own?
Well, I think this is a really interesting question because therapy is predominantly a female field. So in my graduating class of 30 marriage and family therapists, there were 2 men and the rest of us were women. It is also the lowest paying master's degree that there is, which means that therapists in general go through a lot of school, a ton of training. We spend a long time doing therapy for free so that we can earn our credentials, and then we get out and we earn the lowest salary of any master's degree, which is really sad.
That is so
and
sad.
It's hard for me to imagine that if this was a male-dominated field, that we would be earning such low money working for
That's a
agencies.
really good point.
And the men who are in the therapy field move up much quicker because there are so few of them that they're able to become supervisors and things very fast. So for me, when I moved to Florida, working in an agency wasn't sustainable. I couldn't support myself doing the kind of community mental health work that I was doing. And most of the women who I was working with were supporting themselves because their husbands were paying the most of the bills. And for me, that was absolutely not satisfactory. I have been through 6 years of college, 2 years of internships. I have all these fancy letters after my name. I should be able to thrive in the world. And I saw how the system was really set up for that not to happen. And so I pretty much had to ride or die, start a private practice, because there wasn't another option for me. I wasn't married and I wasn't planning to depend on someone else to take care of me. So I just pretty much jumped and started a private practice. And I'm so glad that I did. It's very easy. As far as businesses go, running a therapy practice is pretty simple and cut and dry. And
I want to cut in there because I think
profitable.
it's simple because you love it.
Yeah.
And that's the other part of why we do what we do is because we all love what we do, except the slumlord back there. Just kidding. She's not a slumlord. I'm sure you're a fantastic landlord, which I'm sorry, I totally interjected on you, but
okay.
I've actually thought about doing that before becoming a landlord, but I think that's probably pretty challenging, right? Because at any moment they could call you and say, you know, something's wrong with the place, and then you have to fix it, right? I mean,
Well, I mean, you have to treat it like a business, and you have to have it invest. You have to take all your profits from that business and keep it in a specific account so that when something breaks, you're not paying for the fridge. The tenant paid for the fridge 6 months ago because it's sitting in the thing. You can't just take and spend and waste. It's a business and you have to run it like a business, and you can't just say, woohoo, look at all this money I'm making every month.
Yeah.
You have to be smart about it and look for the future.
That is
Always
super
looking
smart.
for the next thing that's coming down the pike.
And I'm so sorry, Kirsten, I kind of cut you off, and I think it's amazing that you do that. What you do is fantastic. How can we really quickly empower other women to do what we have all taken that leap of faith and done? And
It comes down to believing in yourself.
yes,
And that's the biggest thing. I
and
mean,
maybe don't be afraid to fail.
that's right.
Because I think before, can everyone attest to that? Before you were successful, you probably had some possible
Oh,
failures.
I failed more times than I've been successful for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But don't see it as a failure. I think a lot of people see it as, oh my God, I failed so many times. See it as a learning experience.
Yes.
Because if you can see it like an education process and something that just taught you to do something better, then you will never see yourself as a failure. You'll always see yourself as somebody who's learning all the time.
Right, learning. So be
Yeah.
confident. Don't be afraid.
I should have an honorary degree then, because
But failing before you and learning from it.
that's education. I'm in. I'm there.
So Michaela, you mentioned when you first started that your family was supportive about you being in a business on your own, but maybe not quite supportive of the yoga. Did you have any critics in your life or anything that got in your way?
Absolutely. I still have critics in my life.
Is that kind of across the board, ladies? Is that-
Yes.
Really? So just by having your own business, people are constantly...
Definitely. And I think my thing is to be confident. Be confident in what you do, be confident in what you deliver, be brave. You are doing something amazing no matter what you're doing. No matter what your idea is. It could be a bakery, you can make cupcakes, be confident that they're amazing. Be confident that you're delivering the best therapy, the best yoga, whatever you're doing, be the best. Or know that you're the best, and you will be. Critics will always have something to say. For example, people say, well, you have a master's degree in project management, how do you use that in yoga? I'm an entrepreneur. I use every single one of my degrees every single day, or I wouldn't make any money.
I love that.
That's like the fact.
And then Melanie, can you touch on this? I know with businesses, you're not always successful in the first year. So tell me what that looks like.
First year. Well, for me, honestly, when I first started my business, I was still working full time. And it wasn't until 5 years in that I actually stepped all the way out.
Wow. So you made
I
sure
was
you had
always-
security.
It was
That's
always
smart.
1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I would always be at work dreaming about my business, making plans for the business and all of this. And so for me, you know, success didn't come until I actually put both feet in, 5 years in. So I've been full time now for the last 4 years,
Wow.
right? And it was that, you know, the naysayers will get to you, but having someone in your corner is so helpful because you feel alone a lot of times because most people aren't necessarily entrepreneurs, and the struggles that you have, they don't necessarily have, you know.
So surround
And when
yourself with supporters.
Yeah, and when money's not there, what's keeping you going? You know, that passion has to keep you going. And so for me, it went far beyond year one with the struggles.
Okay. So what's typical for your businesses to be successful? So year one, you're probably losing money. right?
I made money my first year because I had to. I started a ride or die private practice. Was if I didn't make money, I wasn't going to make rent, which was like a big jump, but it really motivated me to get out there and make it happen. But the first year of my business was rough. There were all kinds of things I didn't know to plan for, like hurricanes. We had Hurricane Irma come through, and when you're in a small business, stuff like that really has a big impact.
That is wild. Yeah, planning. So I love it. I love that Melanie, you took sort of the safer path, but you stuck with it 5 years. And then Kirsten, you jumped right in and you said, this is what I'm doing. So it can work. You just have to be confident, knowledgeable, and just go for it, right? Right. Anything else we feel our audience should know?
I think as women overall, there's a lot of things that we can look at that might be like people might mansplain to us. If as I'm trying to fix a house and I'm going to like a home improvement place and I'm loading a toilet in the truck, there's always the man that's trying to tell the little girl how to do it when I've done it 100 times, but I don't tell them that. I let them talk because guess what? They might know one little trick that I never knew.
Always be open to learning.
So just let them talk. Let everybody tell you things. Maybe you're going to pick up on something and you're going to take that and it's going to help you 10 times down the road.
I think that's important to know because your critics aren't always negative. Sometimes you need to hear those critiques to make things better. Not to be mansplained too, but to know.
Yeah. And it's also, and she's right, it's about being open to what's being said to you. But at the end of the day, you have the power to take on what you want and to discard what you don't want.
I love that.
And, like when I first went into business, my family were like, you have children, you're a single mom, are you stupid? Why don't you, have security, stay in a job? And I'm like, I'm never gonna pay Crystal's bills if I don't do something differently. And then I was bold enough to go into a man's industry. So all of a sudden it was like, what is a woman doing in a man's industry? Why are you in the security industry? What do you know about security? Just little things like that. And it's about knowing who you are, staying true to who you are, and just understanding that you will not know everything. You will always learn as you go along because learning is what keeps you alive.
I love it.
Right? So, and it's just, it's to thyself be true, as they say.
Yes, and I love that. I think that's just in life, not just in business. Take in what you need and discard what you don't need. So I love that. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. Well, our time has gone so fast. I could talk to you ladies for hours. I feel like we need a part 2 because we haven't said enough. But thank you guys so much. I'm so proud of what you do. I love that we're helping each other. None of us got here alone, right? We can't say, so definitely learn to depend on each other. Women out there, men too, but women, you are powerful, you are capable, believe in yourselves. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you take care of yourselves and don't forget to take care of each other. And subscribe to our channel.